Hey scholars, it's Mrs. Halka's favorite time of the year. It's Shark Week. So today we're going to start off with the basics. There is nothing basic about sharks. They are the coolest animal in the world according to Mrs. Halka. So today we're just going to look at some brief things about sharks that pretty much all sharks have in common. Then each day for the next 8 days, we're going to look at specific types of sharks, from the tiniest shark to the biggest shark. But I'm going to let you guess over the next 8 days. I want you to write down some ideas. What sharks do you think I'm going to talk about? Now, that's going to probably be your first question. How many sharks are there? Types of sharks are there? Do you know there's over 300 different types of sharks in the world? A shark is not a mammal. It's a fish. So let's get that straight first. It is a fish. All sharks have skin that is covered in denticles. They're like tiny, tiny little razors. So if you rub the shark this way, you're okay. If you rub it this way, it's gonna hurt your hand. Now again, small shark, a little bit of scratching. Big shark, it's really gonna hurt. Every shark has teeth, whether they're tiny, tiny, tiny little teeth or they're big teeth. But every shark has teeth. And remember what I've always taught you in class, if it has a mouth, it bites. Every shark has a nose that it can pick up different senses and smells in the ocean, for up to, some scientists say, a mile away. Every shark obviously has eyes. Whether they use them or not, they do have an eye. And a lot of sharks actually will roll their eyeballs all the way to the back of their head when they're eating their prey so that they don't damage them. Because they don't have really eyelids like we have and eyelashes that keep the dust out. Every shark has gills because, like I just said, they're not a mammal, they're a fish, so they need the gills to take in the water and use the water to get their oxygen. Last week we all talked about the human body and how important the oxygen is. That's where the sharks get their oxygen from. They have the dorsal fin. That's the scary fin that you see cutting across the water. They have their caudal fin, which is their tail fin that helps them swim this way, back and forth. A whale and a dolphin's goes this way. A shark's will go side to side. They have their pectoral fins. It's kind of like their arms that will keep them balanced. And every shark has to swim. They swim forward. Now you might see on a TV show a little bit of them back up, but they really do have to keep going forward. Only very few sharks can actually lay at the bottom and sleep, but we'll get into that when we talk specifically about different sharks. Now, I've got a quick little cool book here that's going to give you a lot of information. So here's our first shark, cruising beneath the surface. Well, we know they live in the oceans. Do they live in freshwater too? That's a question we'll answer when we get to a specific type of shark. So I've given you a hint as to one shark that we're going to talk about. It's one of the oldest and fiercest fish in the world. They have serious skills. Some can leap 5 feet in the air. Some have a bite that's 4 times as strong as a lion. And some can swim up to 60 miles an hour. The next time you're in a car and you're doing 60 miles an hour, think that's how fast a shark can swim. A certain type of shark, not all sharks. But they're so cool, just like me. They don't wear sunglasses underwater. Sharks can live in every ocean, but some can live in fresh water. Again, we'll get to that. Sharks have been around for over 400 million years, since before the dinosaur. Now in our class, when we were back teaching, we learned about, in the classroom, we learned about fossils. And I showed you a few shark's teeth that were actual fossils. There are more than 500 species of sharks, and they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Sharks don't worry about losing their sharp teeth because they have thousands to spare. They have almost what feels like a conveyor belt, and some will go 3 deep. Sharks even have teeth on their skin. Why? To help them swim faster. You can see right there what it looks like tiny, tiny little edges. Denticles, remember that was our vocab word. Sharks have senses that are more like superpowers. They can feel up in here. They can feel almost like little heartbeats of the fish in the water. That's why they know when a splash or a fish is in trouble. Sharks use these powers to hunt, and some of these sharks will eat anything. Sharks' meat might seem scary, but most really aren't dangerous to people. Sharks hardly ever bite humans, and if they do, it's usually by accident. You have to remember, a shark usually eats seals or turtles, all seafood that lives in the ocean. So if we're swimming in their ocean, they might bite us once in a while. Sharks are a very, very important part of the ecosystem. Since they are all at the top of the food chain, they can keep the balance of life in order. Humans must help to protect the sharks because we're kind of a big deal and we need these sharks. Ichthyologists, which are scientists who study just fish, they are trying to help these sharks and find out why they are the longest living animal that we have. Marine biologists are the scientists that we learned about that study everything in the ocean. So you have your whole marine biologists that study everything in the ocean, and then you have ichthyologists that study just fish. All right, I've got a shark that I keep in a bottle. His name is Tim, and I'm going to show you him. All right, this is Tim. He is a baby black tip reef shark, and I purchased him at a marine aquarium a long time ago. But you can see, here's his dorsal fin. Here's his pectoral fins that help him to swim. You can see his nose and his eyes. And underneath, you can see his little mouth. Oh, he's smiling at us. These are all parts that he uses. Here's his caudal fin, his tail fin. This is Tim, and we see that he gets his name, the black tip reef shark, from the black tips that he has on his dorsal fin and on his caudal fin. These help him to be swift and quick through the water. That's about it for poor Tim. He did wind up in a jar because scientists, when they took his mom out of the water, they were using his mom for some research. And some sharks can give birth and give what they call pups. This is called a pup, a baby shark. Some will give birth to maybe 2. Some could give birth up to 7. Some give live birth. Some actually give birth in little egg sacs that they call a mermaid purse. And it's because it looks like a little pocketbook or a purse or a bag that you would say, oh, a mermaid would carry. But sometimes there's baby sharks in there. And that's where that song comes from, but I'm not gonna sing it. I know now all of you have it stuck in your head. But that's the end for today. I've got some of my new friends here with me too to help me with this week of Shark Week. Tomorrow we start with which shark will Mrs. Halka start talking about? Remember, I said I'm going in size order. So am I going from the smallest, cookie cutter shark, to the largest, the megalodon, or am I going to go backwards? Remember, 8 days, 8 sharks. You need to now think and write down on a piece of paper. See how right you are. What 8 sharks out of over 400, 500, 600 sharks are we going to talk about? Have a great day, scholars.